This is the Conscious Hour. Thanks for tuning in. Um, this word keeps coming up, kangaroo court, kangarooville. It's like we've got Trump saying one thing, he's going to do something, and then he changes his mind. And it's like this ball goes up, this ball comes down, and nobody really knows where we're going. And we'd like to blame Iran for everything, but you have to remember that the U.S. and Israel are the two primary warmongers out there, and they want to control the region. But listen to this update, and then I'll give a last comment at the end. I'll give you a comment about Pete Hegseth.
Well, the only reason I can come up with he would do that is the Iranians in the United States, they're not talking directly. They're going through intermediaries. They're going through Pakistan primarily and Qatar in terms of conversations between Washington and Tehran. So this, I'm sure the Iranians said, we're not doing a damn thing until we see some concrete moves by Washington that they're serious. They've got to start lifting sanctions, and they've got to maybe lift the blockade. So they may have already lifted the blockade, but what we saw was clearly they lifted specific sanctions on the IRGC. Now, this comes about 24 hours ago. Iran attacked a ship in the Strait of Hormuz near off the coast of Oman and forced 3 other ships to turn back. Well, 3-4 weeks ago, what did Donald Trump say? Every time Iran hits a ship, man, we're going to punch them back and we're going to take out a bridge or take out this or that. What did Trump do? Nothing. In addition, Iran reportedly hit Camp Buring in Kuwait last night Iranian time, yesterday afternoon our time. Again, the United States, no retaliation. So I think Trump is responding to one, if not all, 3 different things. Number one, he got warnings from MBS, from the Saudis, from the Qataris that, hey, if you hit Iran, they're going to wipe us out, and we'll be, we're dumping your dollars. We're going to have to abandon our country. Something to that effect. Second was what you mentioned about the weapons shortages. They are critical. Look, I wrote about this. I'll toot my own horn on this back on March 3rd. People go look it up. March 3rd, sonar21.com. I explained the shortage that was coming from the Patriot missiles, PAC-3s. What most Americans right now don't understand is 80% of our weapons, and beyond, I'm talking JASSMs, Prisms, Tomahawks, HARMs, AGMs. 80% of our weapons are dependent upon 5 rare earth minerals that China controls. In other words, we can say, we're going to build them, but we don't have control over it. So that's the second thing that I think is weighing on Trump. He's finally come to the realization that we're stuck. The third is there's got to be some bad economic news that they're working desperately to keep quiet. Most people don't understand that Japan, of all the countries in the world, Japan has been the most affected by the shutdown of the Persian Gulf, the Strait of Hormuz, because it gets 90% of its oil. Now, the oil that comes out of there is the sour crude, and the Japanese refineries are set up to deal with sour crude. The best metaphor I can come up to explain why this is imagine if you got Harry Callahan's .44 Magnum revolver, and then you have a .22 caliber semi-automatic pistol. Well, they load different, they shoot different sizes of ammunition. Just because they're both guns doesn't mean they're the same thing. They work differently. That's the same thing with refineries in terms of sweet and sour crude refineries. Japan has this sour crude refinery. So even though it could get all the sweet oil it wants out of the United States, it doesn't have the sour crude. It's cut off from the oil for 3 months. And if you think that this debt crisis Japan's been going through, where the Treasury Department had to go in and rescue them yesterday by pumping in a bunch of euros, then, you know, you're living on a different planet. So you've got all this behind the scenes. And I think that those pressures are coming to bear on, I don't know what it is, but there's something bad out there, because that's the only explanation I can come up with why he's held off from, you know, being his typical jerky self.
Yeah. Yep.
So that is where I want to interject here. We have a guy named Pete Hegseth. He's the head of the Secretary of War, the Department of War. And I've commented on this before. So when he was first appointed and they changed the name, I heard them change the name before I saw who is going to be the Secretary of War. And it's Pete Hegseth. And I listened to him talk, very scripted, very on point, very lecturing, telling you, here's what reality is. If you watch how they speak, a lot of these people that are supporting this other mission that I don't want to mention the name about, they're on script. They're telling you what the reality is. In fact, the reality wasn't even that. Pete Hegseth, we're going to win. We're going to be victorious. Oh, yeah? How are you going to do that when you can't replenish your weapons? How are you going to make everything right the way you think it's going to be when you don't have the back support? It's not there. We're depleted. But yet, it's full speed ahead. Full speed ahead. But now they've stopped. Iran is playing the cards perfectly. It went in and bombed the shit out of Saudi Arabia. Certain places didn't destroy everything. Just let Saudi Arabia said, no. You're just like the gringos. You're playing with them. And now you playing with us, and we're going to give you fire. So the way out of this is simple. But the problem is we have Pete, we have Donald, who's bipolar, and he makes a deal and doesn't make a deal, says he's going to do something that changes his mind. So maybe, just maybe, there's a crack in the wall where Trump realizes they can't perform. They can't do what Pete might be imagining in his mind can do, but in fact they can't. And maybe there'll be some type of settlement. But there's an outlier, and the outlier is Netanyahu. Netanyahu just visited the United States. Yep. Do you think he's going to allow and not have any blowback on the United States for the U.S. not to do what he wants done? There's a lot of friction there, folks. So we got to stay tuned, be diligent, and do one thing. Call your congressional representatives and tell them in November, Republicans and Democrats were voting you out. Clean the house so that we, the people, have a voice that comes from us. Not the military-industrial complex, not corporations, not people with personal agendas, but we build an America that works for all Americans. It's the Conscious Hour, folks. It's your Conscious Hour. Just put our collective consciousnesses together and speak as one voice, saying we've had enough. Spend our tax dollars at home. Make America great for the people of America. It's the Conscious Hour. Thanks for tuning in. Please hit the like and share button. And please, if you can, donate to the 501c3. Any support you give helps me to keep production going in the background. Thanks for tuning in.